Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, everyone. So
Hello.
welcome to Worship and Wellness. We made it yet another day. Amen. Well, we made it to Worship and Wellness where we like to combine biblical principles with practical steps. My name is Jasmine, and my co-host can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Jakara. Hi, guys.
Hey, how y'all feeling today?
Hi.
Doing
I'm
good.
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, it is a new month. So it's the first day of July, which I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but it is Social Wellness Month. So today we'll be focusing on social wellness, what that means, why it's important, how to get it. So let's get into it. So what is social wellness and why is it important in our lives?
I can start. Um, when I think of social wellness, I think of uh, basically how well we interact with others and how how well we form relationships, meaningful relationships with our peers and people in our lives. Yeah. So
I
that's
think you
just
hit the
my.
nail on the head. You did.
Yeah.
I think the same thing. When I think about social wellness, I think about the people that are directly around you. And honestly, even the people that are further away. So it's like the people that you work with, the
Mhm.
environment that you surround yourself with, because all of that has an impact on how you act and what you do and who you are and who you become. Um, so, yeah, that was good, Britt. So what do you guys think is a social connection on your mental and emotional well-being? How does your social wellness impact your mental and emotional well-being?
Um, okay, social wellness. So,
I'm
um,
sorry, guys. It's
oh,
like lagging.
oh, it's lagging. Did you want to go first, Dakar, or yeah, it is
If I
lagging.
can. Wow.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's very important because when you interact with people, it encourages your mental health in a positive way. Um, because you're not isolating yourself, you're also engaging with others, like we said in the definition. But it can also be a healthy balance if we know how to set the boundaries to do so.
Yep, I agree. Um, I think if if you are more social and working on your social wellness, you tend to uh, have more happy moments, spending time with people you enjoy. And if you tend to isolate more, it can tend to like depression and other things like that related to mental health. So, I mean, emotional. So, um, like when you're around people who you enjoy and it makes you feel good and you can talk about things you both like or whoever you're around. So I think when you're sitting by yourself, sometimes it's not so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that it depends on who you are and like knowing yourself. Because I know for me, I'm an introvert. So
Okay.
being around
Mhm.
people sometimes feels a little bit more draining than it is for me to be
Mhm.
with people. So I know that for me, I have to be careful not to isolate myself,
Mhm.
because I enjoy being around, like in the presence of myself, but then also I have to make sure that I'm measuring how often I'm with other people because that can be draining too. And I think that's left out of conversations a lot of the times. Um, just like how being around people can impact you in different ways.
Right.
But it's also important which people you're around because I know there's some people that I'm
Yeah.
around where I feel better after I'm around them. And then
Mhm.
other times, like if I'm in a big group, that's often really, really, that's a
Yes.
lot.
No, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, do you think it's the individual person, like the whoever you're around? Because some people can be very draining and your whole mood change after being around them or having one conversation with them, even, over the phone. And then you're like, okay. And then like as you go
Mhm.
about your day, you're like, why do I feel this way? And then you think, oh, I was talking to so and so earlier, so I think it does depend on the person, like who
Mhm.
you're around. Yeah.
Like the relationship you have with the person.
Yes. Yeah.
How
Hmm.
do you think, like, how do you make sure that you're around people that are good for you, that give you not a draining feeling after you're with them? Hey,
Oh, hey,
what?
Brian. Hey. um. So, could you repeat that again, Jasmine? Sorry.
But the part we were talking about how like sometimes you can be around people like different
Hmm.
have different impacts. So
Hmm.
like sometimes you can be around people and you can feel drained afterwards, but then there's other times that you're around someone and you feel like energetic after, you feel refreshed, you feel better. So I was asking Brittany, like, how do you go about your selection, like the process of making sure that you're picking people who are good for you, who leave you feeling better than before?
I would say it kind of they kind of select themselves. That sounds weird, but what I mean by that is setting boundaries. So when you set boundaries in your relationships, um now there's these like limitations basically, so people know how to interact with you, they know what to say. Like some people won't um come around you and start talking about others because they know that's you don't like that. So and they know that can change your mood or whatever, however you are. But if you set those boundaries in the beginning, then people know, oh, she doesn't like this, or she's already expressed not liking people raising their voices when speaking to her or whatever. It can be setting boundaries at work, or any type of setting. And I think that's how you first start working on like wellness, yeah, like social wellness, where it's beneficial and and it makes you feel good rather than being around people who um can be, like you said, kind of draining. So yeah, I would say boundaries.
That's good. That's a fact because
Mhm.
like people say all the time that you teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
Uh, and that's what I'm hearing you say. Like you set the boundaries and then you kind of just see how they react and they'll let you know whether or not that's a good person for you.
Hmm. Yeah. And then they'll slowly weed themselves out. Like,
I have a question.
like that's the thing. Say it against your car. I'm sorry.
Is it lagging again?
A little bit. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh my But I had a question if it's not lagging. If not, we're just gonna take it bit by bit. Um, what do you do when you feel like you have friends that are God placed them in your life um for a reason. You're their friend to show them a certain way to be. So like it may be draining for you, but God placed them in your life for you to teach them something. Like what do you say to that?
I think
Mhm.
even with that, you still need boundaries because it's okay to be there
Mm-hmm.
for someone, but it's not okay to place yourself on the burner in the meantime, if that makes sense. So I think that because I've had friendships where I feel like it required a little bit extra patience because there were things that they were unlearning. Um, but what I found is that when people are self aware, when they're aware of their deficits and things that they need to change, and they're actively working towards trying to do better, uh, it's easier to be patient and you can be patient, but you can also get hurt in the process because they're not all the way where they need to be yet. So just understanding what you're signing up for and making sure that your expectations are aligned with who you're talking to. Um, yeah. But I think it requires a lot of patience, but also making sure that you're still setting boundaries so that if it does become too much, that you're not putting yourself in a position to continue to be get the short end of the stick. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the times we like jump into this like savior mode where we like try to save or help people around us. And that's when it's really important to set boundaries, like Jasmine said, because like you're setting them because you want them in your life. Like you want these people in your life. So they have to know what's okay and what's not. It's time boundaries where you can speak to someone like you said, you're trying to help somebody, but it's you also have to have time for yourself. So setting boundaries with time is like what's important to you. Like we can go to the gym and talk and this and that, but I also need time to rest. So we can't talk all day. You know what I mean? So it's just setting boundaries. Um, like and they'll understand because when you're communicating that, they know it's okay. And you say, okay, I'll speak to you later, or we can revisit this conversation later, so it doesn't seem overwhelming when you're talking to those people.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing that my friends and I do is before, like, if we know we have something heavy we need to talk about, like, we really need to,
Hmm.
like, Ran, I had a rough day. We'll call each other. We'll be like, do you have space? And then they can let me know whether or not they have the mental capacity to handle putting additional stuff on them
Hmm.
because like sometimes we expect our friends to just always be there, always be available, and like to put all of their stuff aside to make sure that they're there for us. And that's not really fair. Like that's not being a good friend if you're not taking someone else into consideration before doing something like that. Um, so that's just a little nugget that me and my friends like to do. Like we'll usually ask each other, like, are you available? Do you have the mental capacity for me to talk about something before we talk about it? And then if not, they'll just say like, no, not right now, but I might later, or like maybe you can send me a voice message and then I can listen to it when I do have space.
I think that's a good point. Like respecting each other enough, even if they say like I don't have the capacity. I'm not getting upset because you don't have the capacity. You know what I mean? Like I've been in friendships before where it was like I have a husband, I have kids. Like I don't have the amount of time that you would want me to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they got upset, and I'm like, is it me?
Hmm.
Am I the drama? But I had to realize like I don't have the same capabilities that you.
Hmm.
This is what it gets to expectations. Like, what are your realistic expectations of your friend?
Hmm.
Because not everyone's capable of doing it, even though you want them to. They're just
Hmm.
not capable, and that's okay. I'm learning that. Like, it's okay if you can't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we all have different lifestyles, and when meeting someone and you're building, creating that relationship, just stating, like you said, I have a husband, I have children, or I'm in school, or whatever is going on in your life, just letting your friends know that, then um, building that relationship, they'll know, oh, I respect that. I respect that she needs to spend time with her husband. She needs to spend time with her children, or she needs time to study because she's in school, so they know and they're aware. That's what, healthy relationships, they respect that and they understand. So even if it's not what they're going through, they'll still be able to say, okay, let me give her, or, whomever at that time. So, yeah.
Someone in the chat said, talk about when you've been hurt in social circles. Is it okay to just stay to yourself? Um, I say that you need to first understand what your feelings are. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just jump in and be like, well, I'm mad, but you really just hurt, or you really disappointed that the expectation wasn't met. Like, that's not fair to your friend to just automatically come off with anger, and that's not the true emotion. So I say, if you have to take time to understand what your true emotion is about the hurt first, then confront it. What y'all say?
I've had a recent experience with a social circle, being hurt in a social circle. And I think that the most important thing is communicating. And like Cara said, processing your feelings before communicating, because otherwise you can't really communicate how you feel if you don't know how you feel. And then just having the capacity to listen, to understand rather than listening to respond is important. And then I think that if you're still not feeling heard, or like if you've attempted to communicate, then it's okay to stay to yourself if you've tried. But just staying to yourself without talking to someone and telling them how you feel, I don't really feel is fair.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the times that sometimes, like, your go-to, because you're hurt, like you just want to kind of like run away, like, it's fine, I don't need anybody, I'll stay to myself. I'll, do you start making up all this list, like, I can do this by myself, or it's okay, because you're hurt. But you're doing, how I see it is, um like, you're hurting yourself. Like you said, the individual does matter, who the person is. But like you both said, I think I agree with that, like understanding your feelings first and then communicating that to whomever hurt you in that social, um, with that relationship, and then going from there. I think just communicating it. Like, sometimes I have to write it down because I get real. I
Yeah.
can get upset, or whatever. And you want to, when you're in that moment and you're communicating exactly how whatever happened made you feel, is important to go back and then see what you wrote down, and then you can even read it straight from what you wrote. Or I think that's very beneficial. It helps a lot. Because as we get older, like as I get older, I experience different things, and that seems like, out of everything, that helped me the most. Just writing my thoughts and how I feel down, and then verbally, like, expressing it later when it's a good time. Yeah, but not just isolating and not speaking um to them again. So yeah. Hmm.
That's good, because that can save you from saying something that it wasn't meant to
Yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because if, I mean, most y'all don't know me, but I can just go there. You know what I mean? Once I feel a certain way, my husband know, because he's the main one that get it. But like,
Yeah.
once you take me there, sometimes it takes me a long time to get back to baseline. But
Mhm.
I have to realize, like, we're on the same team. If you're my friend,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Going
Mhm.
to and godly friend that I wanted to talk about that. Like having a godly friend, I feel like holds more weight too, because it's like, okay, you possibly are interceding for me when I don't have the
Mhm.
words to say, the things to express, but you sense something in the spirit to go to God for me for. So it's like I really got to fix that because I don't want to possibly hinder my sister in Christ, but also my own circle. You know what I'm saying? Like the impact that I could have. If I lose this relationship, who's to say I didn't just lose the opportunity to minister to somebody else or to get the blessing that I wanted years ago because I'm connected to you? You know what I mean? I don't think
Mhm.
people think about it in that capacity. Like you could be missing opportunities because you're isolating yourself.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Um, and sometimes we don't see it as that, but when you're social and you form these healthy relationships, you're more likely to um eat better, exercise more, go out, because you're talking to people, it's like a positive reaction, I guess, when you work on your social wellness. And when you tend to isolate, sometimes you just sit with yourself, and you don't really but sometimes you don't know what to do. So then you have to find groups that that you're interested in, that do things you like, that will get you out there, because sometimes the first step is just going out. And if you're a person that tends to isolate a lot, then I would say that just going out and finding what you like to do, because then you meet people, and you form those relationships, and you most of the time it helps you in other areas, is what I was getting to.
That's good, and I'm glad that you said that because that was one of the topics that we are supposed to discuss is like the building of groups, or like making sure that you have good groups around you. What are y'all tips? Like, how do we go out, and then like how do we find the people that we're supposed to be around?
I just I don't know because sometimes it just happens organically. Like honestly, the good friendships that I have, I don't remember how we became friends. We found something in
Mhm.
common interest, Nicole, like
Mm-hmm.
something that
That's
we hit it off
interest.
about.
Mhm.
I am, I think me and people, I'm very humorous, so like I just be catching stuff a little bit, and I might laugh. Someone else might find it, like Jazz, might find something I said funny, and then just every time we go to church, we just sit next to each other, and it just builds. You know what I mean? So I guess finding a common interest, but being open.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yes, me too. I like that. I would say, like the same, finding that common interest. Like, if you're someone who doesn't get out, I would start by like going to the park or something like that, and just walk around for a little bit. If you're like, oh no, I don't like that, go somewhere where they're playing music and listen to music. Maybe you'll like that. There are a lot of different things that are out there to do, but just trying to figure it out. First, you have to figure out what you like, and then you're like, okay, maybe I'll go to this jazz lounge, or maybe I'll go rock climbing. I don't know, whatever you like, whatever you like doing. um Once you figure that out, like you said, it happens pretty organically. Like you'll find your people. You'll find your group that um, enjoys doing the same thing you do, I think so. Yeah.
Do you think it's harder to have friends as adults?
Woo.
I'll say yes. Yes, it's just so much responsibilities. Like I said, we all have our own lives, and trying to fit that in is important. It needs to be a priority. But just fitting that in, like you said, when you have friends that are like, okay, well, I want to hang out all day, or I want to do this, and y'all have different lifestyles, or um, if they want to go on vacation and you're like, oh, I can't this month, I have this going on. So I think when we get older, we have our careers, we have our family, um, we have our just a lot going on, and it's hard to nurture those relationships sometimes. That's just me personally, I feel. Yeah.
I agree. I don't know how it happens or when it happens,
Mhm.
but I met most of my friends at my first job right outside of college. And when
Mhm.
we first became friends, I was seeing them every single weekend. Like there wasn't a
Mhm.
weekend where I didn't see them. And then as like the years started going on, all of a sudden it was like every other weekend,
Mhm.
once a month. And now it's like, girl, are you available in August? Because I haven't seen you in 3 months. I don't know where the time went because the responsibilities just start adding up and then the time starts flying. Like
Mhm.
keep track of all of the relationships that you have to do with all of the other responsibilities that you have. So yeah, I do think that is harder as you become an adult or more of an adult.
For real, the more of adult part.
Hmm.
Do you think it's possible to have male platonic friendships?
Yes, I do.
I think it's needed, but I
Mhm.
don't think most women know how to do it properly.
That's true. I think that's true. I think it's important to have many friendships, male, female, whoever. Like even at your workplace. Um, I don't know. It's just you learn from each other. When you have these relationships, you sit, you talk, you have conversations. If you have like any questions about something and you need to talk to a close friend, male or female, I don't think you should limit yourself to, females if you're a female or males if you're a male. Because it could be very beneficial to talk to someone, about whatever that's going on in your life, or something, let's say something's going on within your family or your mom or your sister or your brother or whatever, and you just need somebody to talk to. They could probably relate to something or say, well, when I was younger, I went through this too, or and then you're like, oh really? So I think all relationships are good, male or female. Yes. Do you guys think when you tend to isolate yourself, um, do you think people feel more anxiety about like social settings or meeting people? Like, I guess people who tend to stay to themselves more often. Do you think anxiety plays a big role in getting out there and meeting new people?
Are you one
I
go?
would say yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Am I,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make sure I'm not laughing. I would say because you feel rejected. You fear
You said
rejection.
rejected?
Like you
Oh,
don't.
rejection. Mhm.
Yeah. Like you don't want to. Well, I'll just say for me because I constantly move around because I'm a military wife.
Mhm.
So it's hard to make new friends, and then once you get to a new place, it's like I have to do it all over again.
Hmm.
So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I don't want to like having to leave my friends from another place is hard too. And having to reopen the wounds again, it's hard. Like I don't want to be rejected, and you also kind of like have to assimilate to the location and the people around. So it's really I think I get really anxious about meeting new people because it's like, who are you? Why?
Mhm.
Why do you want to connect to me? What are you about? Type of thing.
Yeah.
Jazz, what you say?
I think for me, it could go both ways. Like,
Mhm.
are certain situations where like I do think that I'm like a little bit anxious, so I'm like, let me just get out of there. Like after church, we be like, you matter. I'm like, all right, I'm in my because like the like waiting around period. Yes, we be like,
Mhm.
you matter. I'm like, but like the waiting around period and like the like waiting to talk, I think is a lot for me personally. But also like I was telling Brittany earlier, I just enjoy being by myself.
Mhm.
So I think it depends on the person. Like sometimes it can show up as like anxiousness or it
Mhm.
can show up as depression, why the reason why you're isolating. But then there's some people who just enjoy being by themselves, like they're
Mhm.
introverted, so like they prefer to be alone rather than like groups or talking to a lot of people. So I think like for me personally, I just really like being by myself. Like I crack myself up all the time. It's just fun here. But yeah, I think it could go both ways. I think it just kind of depends.
Okay. How does our spiritual relationship play into our social connections? That's a question. How does our
Mm.
spiritual relationship play a role into our social connections? I would say spiritually, when I think of spiritually, I think of like connecting with people and speaking to them about God or, or
Mm-hmm.
relating. I don't know how to really explain it, but basically just kind of hearing them out, hearing what they have to say, and then kind of bringing what I learned, um, and then just relating it to that and letting them know, like, if it could be scriptures or just something I learned at church or, something like that. And then um, kind of relating it to that, if that makes sense. Am I saying it clearly?
It makes
So
sense.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
I feel like when you are weak spiritually, or that might not be the right word, but like if you
Mhm.
feel like you're distant from God, I do feel like
Mhm.
it's harder to find people or find the purpose in trying to meet new people or to talk to new people, because it's like I already feel isolated from him, so then why would I want to talk
Mhm.
to you? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you really can't fix anything for me. But we always know, like, what we're taught, like, Idle Minds, the workshop, when we're by ourselves, it's like a more breeding ground for like darkness to happen and like negative thoughts to happen. So um I do feel like spiritual connection, the lack thereof, can produce a lack in social connection with people.
I think that as you learn and grow in your spiritual walk, it affects how you treat people. Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what's in you always comes out of you. So if I'm feeding myself and I'm learning about the fruits of the spirit when I have my interactions with my friends and honestly strangers, that's what's gonna come out of me because that's what's in me. But if
Mm-hmm.
not, and I'm just kind of leading myself, who knows what's going to come out? Because it could really be anything, anytime. And I think that, like, that's kind of like a light that a lot of Christians have. And
Mm-hmm.
people who believe in God, we have this, like people can see it. Like, they can
Yeah.
see light in a really dark place because you're different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I really just think that it's because there's a lot of attributes that we learn from studying the Bible and from studying Jesus's walk while he was on earth that impacts the way that we interact with other people as we're doing our walk, because we have a guide.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's real good. That God is important
That was
because
really
it
good.
teaches you how to treat others. You
Hmm.
know. Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, and
And
then go ahead, Britt.
okay, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that I've been trying to work more on the fruits of the spirit. One, memorizing them because that's been a struggle for me for a really long time. Uh, but two, just trying to make sure that I'm implementing them. And
Mm-hmm.
like I think I can't remember. I think it was in the Holy Arsonist group chat, and they had sent the fruits of the spirit, but they said to change it with your name to make sure that
Uh-huh.
you are aligned with what it's supposed to be. And I think that once you really put that in you and you become that, like what a beautiful relationship you'll have with all the people around you. And honestly, you can't even you'll have to surround yourself with people who are kind of like you because like you know how they say birds of a feather. Do y'all believe in that? Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm
Hmm.
that is like once you build yourself up more and you start to reflect more of that, then you'll find more people who reflect more of that as well.
Hmm.
But then
Yeah.
when you call on the fruits of, sometimes it just be the Lord be testing you. As soon as you say that you want
Hmm.
more patience,
Hmm. Hmm.
You will
Hmm.
get, yeah.
say you want to practice long suffering, I'm like, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for that. Or I don't know if y'all know this song, Refiner, which is like, I want to be tried by fire, purified.
Terrified.
I
I have to
I don't
hear it.
even
It
sing
sounds
it.
familiar. Hey.
It's by Maverick City. I'm not asking the Lord that because He really gonna do it. You
Uh-huh.
gotta be mindful
Yes.
of the stuff
Yeah.
that you pray for.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I keep telling myself I set these goals, and um I do want to eat better. I want to eat better. I want to exercise more. I want to, I have all these goals, but um it matters who's around me, because
Yeah,
if I'm around people who we eating cheesesteaks and everything else and fries and whatever every day, then how am I working on these goals that I set for myself? And it's like you said,
exactly.
it's who you're around. So like if I'm going to the gym and then I find a gym buddy and we working out and we good and we have similar goals, then it's like, oh, okay, I can do this. We eating right, and so now I feel better and I'm working on my goals. Now I have a new friend, like, and sometimes it does work out like that, but there are those moments where you have those friends that test you. And I think that's when you have to kind of take a step back and still love them, still talk to them. But back to the boundary piece that you set in boundaries that like, so we'll speak here and there, but right now I'm focusing on these goals. I'm trying to get closer to God. I'm trying to do this and that. I can't go out with you every night. I can't be at the bar with you. I can't be doing this and doing that because I have these certain goals that I'm working on. And because you communicated that to your friend and y'all spoke about it and y'all talked about it, then that friend will be like, oh, okay, no, I understand, and now that relationship is still there. You may not, speak as often, but it's still there, so I think just that communication and everything like that, and just whatever goals you have, just work on them. You'll meet new people, you'll meet new friends, and then you'll still have your current relationship, your old, friendships or current ones or whatever. So, yeah.
I wanted to talk about that nurturing relationship part. And you were talking about eating, that made me think about like we gotta be more creative about how we interact with our friends because I love a good meal, but we
Yes,
can't,
yes,
we can't eat every
yes.
time.
Every time. What do you want to do? Let's go out to eat.
Our backs, we are not unpicking our back. It's just
It's
gonna get
never
wider
going straight.
and wider. Okay, like we gotta figure out different stuff to do. Like I know
Yes.
my husband had mentioned in Holy Arsonist chat to do a hike, and I was like, ugh. But that might be a more healthy thing for us to do. Like you
Yes.
never know what could come out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So just being more creative in how we interact with our friends, because food, it gets a little expensive too. Now think about it.
Yes. No, I
It
think
does.
that's good
And it's
with nurturing those relationships. That's good. Um, maybe I was just thinking maybe like in your circle, maybe one friend pick something every week. Like if that's how often y'all meet, like they have to pick something new, like karaoke or golf or something that you're not used to doing. And I think just trying those new um having those like new experiences is like kind of nurturing those relationships, I think.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, me and my friends started a summer bucket list.
Okay.
We made like a little, like, you can check it off. It's a shared note like on your iPhone, and you can check it off as you do it, and we put experience on there rather than like places, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go skating, go on a picnic. Bless you.
Oh, bless you. Hmm.
Hi, Clara. But like, I do think that like having those are memories that you're gonna remember more than, oh yeah, we had went to Applebee's and we got a cheeseburger.
Right.
Okay.
Every
We still
time,
gonna have
like,
fun.
right, right. Or like, what was I just thinking? Oh, so me and my sisters recently started a book club. So that's something else I thought about. Yeah. So I'm just like, just things like, I don't know. I guess things you don't really think about doing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And then you just enjoy doing them. And you're like, okay, I could have been doing this the whole time. I actually
Hmm.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
I had a question though, like, oh sorry, Jess.
Oh no, you're good.
Um, being vulnerable is something that is needed in friendships, right? Um, and I feel like that's something that we always get stuck on, like being vulnerable enough to make the friendship efficient or like functional. Um, so what are some tips you guys have for being vulnerable in your friendships? Or do you feel like, do all friendships call for that? Or all relationships call for that? Is there a certain level you have to be at?
I think any relationship requires you to have some type of vulnerability because you're making yourself open to another person. But I think that for me, like, I have different friends for different things, if that
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll talk to my one friend about like work, but I'll talk to another friend about like things that I have going on personally. And that's a lot more vulnerable for me than talking about things that are going on at work. So I think that there's different levels to it, and you learn over time who you can trust with your vulnerability because you can't
Hmm.
just being open and vulnerable with everyone because that's how you get yourself hurt. So making sure that you take the time to make sure you trust the person and that they're a good person for you to trust to be vulnerable. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would
What you think?
agree. Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of look at that relationship and say, do I feel comfortable with sharing this with them? Just like you said, because I don't think every relationship um, requires that level, I guess. Because I don't know. I think, yeah, I really do think the individual matters, like who that person is. That interaction matters because, like, it could be somebody who may not understand exactly what you're going through, and maybe you're just venting, or maybe you just want to talk to them and let them know, but they don't really understand it, so they might give you some bad advice, or you'll say, oh no, I was just talking, I was just letting you know, and then now you feel some kind of way and you're like, I should never have said anything, or so I think just sitting back and um I guess thinking about that relationship with that person and saying, is this okay? Maybe not. Or back to, like you said, asking your friends, your close friends, like, where are you? Like, am I okay to share something with you right now? It's kind of heavy, or just checking in with them. But yeah.
I think that's good. I wanted to talk back on that point that we saw earlier about what can we do with kids. Activities to do with kids. It was in the comments.
Ways to
Um,
children.
as a mom, it
Hmm.
can be really frustrating to have friends that don't really understand that, sometimes they gotta come with me. Okay. And as much as I want to have time by myself, it just don't happen all the time. So,
Hmm.
well, one is having friends that understand that, but then, beaches, parks,
Hmm.
I got really active kids, so
Me
they
too.
got to be out something, something.
Yeah.
What y'all think for kids?
I was gonna say, like you said, beaches, parks, those are my go-tos. Like the parks are good. Um, I guess birthday parties, because they have to know how to build these relationships too with their peers. And it's kind of like, how do they
That's
do
good.
that? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
like, how do I teach my son or my daughter how to interact with this young boy or this young girl who's just like saying these certain things that like you haven't even taught your kids yet, or anything. It's like you have to teach them um how to stand up for themselves, just all kind of interactions with other kids their age. So I would say that just first taking them to the park or something, seeing how they interact with the other kids, talking to them, letting them know what's okay, what's not okay. But just think of any like activities. I think they have like those jump places now, like
hmm,
trampoline parks. That's what I was thinking. Like I said, birthday parties. Sometimes, like if they get a little older and they're in like elementary school, then they might form relationships with those with the students in their class, or if they're homeschooled, maybe some kids in the community. And if you see them out, maybe speaking to their parent and say, "Oh, I noticed our kids play well together," or try to set something up, or just because they need to build those relationships too is very important. And they learn a lot, especially at those young ages. They learn a lot from each other. So yeah.
I think
that
anything
was
that has to do with the team too. Like
yeah.
I've seen when I was working with the kids who did after school sports together, or
Mhm.
like a step club, or even kids who stayed in like aftercare. They were just in a group together, but
Mhm.
working on something together that often like forms bonds for kids because they have to be like them being together is what allows them to talk to each other, but also making sure that they know how to communicate and how to listen to each other is really important for them because sometimes they don't have the words yet to really
Mhm.
Yeah,
say what they need to say, so it's harder for them to learn how to communicate. So teaching them and showing them how to do that is important for them as well.
Mhm.
you said a
Agreed.
good thing. Like we're supposed to model the behavior.
Mhm.
So it makes me think about, there are some parents, and I might be telling myself a little bit. Um, I'm just very protective. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't go, but I'm
Mhm.
also limiting him or them
Mhm.
to like exploring and experiencing that. So
Mhm.
that just kind of put that in perspective for me. Like parents that feel like, because they're introverted, their kids have to be introverted, and
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
that way. My kid is very extroverted, and he makes me interact with, which is probably for my benefit. I think God did it that way on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, because even us as the adults, or even as like a teacher or whoever, just seeing the kids interact, it's kind of like you see things and then you're like, okay, is this okay? Is it not? Or what do I say to them? I have to teach. This is a teacher moment. Okay, now, no, like it's like every interaction you see and you're like, okay, this could be a teacher moment or whatever, as an adult, period. Um,
Mhm.
or seeing, like, I see a lot of kids just riding their bikes, and some kids don't know how to ride their bike, so that's the activity. Like, okay, we'll teach you how to ride your bike, or maybe you're friends with so and so, maybe they can teach you how to ride a bike, or you know, speaking different languages. My kids have friends that
Yeah.
speak different languages and things like that. So those, like, it's important for them to have that kind of exposure to be with other kids, but at the same time you do have to protect your kids. You don't want them just out there in the
Right.
world with anybody. um so it can be hard, especially if you are not used to speaking to other parents. I did struggle with that at first, like, with my oldest, and him trying to, maybe he's like, oh, so and so invited me to a sleepover. Can I go? I'm like, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I'm like, let me talk to the parent. And some
Uh-huh.
parents are not even used to talking to the other parents anymore. Like, that's not a thing. So then it's like, oh no, you're not going over there. But it's just like, um, the park, it can be stressful going to the park too, with as kids having
Mhm.
different behaviors and different things going on, and your kid being there, and then so I guess it's just it starts, with teaching your kids like how to treat others, no
Mhm.
matter what
Yeah.
they have going on. Teaching your kids how to treat others, um, and how to handle different situations in social settings is very important. So they know when you're not there. They have some kind of some kind of idea of how to handle situations, because you're not around all the time. Like, if something happens and you're at the park and you're over here and your child is over there, and then
Right.
they'll run back and let what happened. So, um, social interaction for kids, I think, is just is very important. A big deal.
It is.
There's a question in the chat that said, "Fourth of July is coming. What are ways people can find healthy ways to connect within their relationships?"
Hmm. I think be mindful of your boundaries. If you're going to a family event and you don't
Mhm.
really like Aunt Shay Shay, then don't put yourself. I'm just being honest because we gotta think about it.
Mhm.
People are going. Some of your family members you don't like for real, but if you go into it knowing how to, remove yourself if needed to be,
Mhm.
um, but also being open because people can change.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like play some games, so it's
Yeah,
not tension, like at the family events or whatever, at the cookouts or whatever, anybody's doing, that's coming up. Games, conversations with family members that you haven't seen in a while. I don't know, just kind of, I guess, challenge yourself to do something that maybe you were like, oh no, I haven't spoken to her or him, or no, or I never played this game, or just trying something new, maybe that maybe make it a little easier to interact with people,
yeah,
family members, and whomever else. Hmm.
I think the holidays are a good time to force yourself to be around people. Like, if you are in a season of isolation or you have a hard time being around people, I think that's a good time to push yourself and to challenge yourself to be around people. And that's a struggle for me, but I did good this time. So I had friends where I knew they were about to go do something, and I was like,
Right.
oh, that's cool. Like, can I go? And so
Right.
I'm gonna do something for the 4th of July. So, like, I think that's a good time to kind of push yourself and to challenge yourself, to find like a healthy way to connect within a relationship.
Hmm.
hmm
That's
So,
good.
guys, are we gonna tell them about what's happening in August?
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should tell
Tell them, Car. Tell them.
them.
Oh, I don't think y'all want me to tell them because I might be lagging with the good information. So, someone with the good internet.
So,
Jazz, what's happening?
go ahead. Yeah, in detail.
All right. So in the month of August, Worship and Wellness is going to be having a challenge.
Challenge.
Challenge. So we're going to be doing a Be Well bingo card. So we're going to be handing them out in church. You're able to sign up. You can find us after service on Sundays. And it's just going to be different things that you can do to support your overall wellness and to kind of challenge you to push yourself into being socially well. We're going to be focusing on that. And then we're going to have our winner. Well, everyone's a winner because, yes,
Right.
Everyone.
we're being well, but yes, that challenge is coming up pretty soon, so we're really, really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
what's on like the bingo cards for the wellness? Is it like exercising or doing this or doing that, and then you just kind of check off like the different things you've done, and that's how you win?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
So
I
it's
think
that'll
just
it's
be
like a
fun.
variety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just little things, like nothing crazy, nothing.
Right.
You don't gotta go buy a car and be well, but
Right.
maybe go for a walk, something like that.
Right. Go for a walk. Hmm. Say
I mean, if
hello
you
to
got the money.
someone new.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
claiming
big
it that
though.
I'm
Like go
winning.
in the
Yeah.
store. That's
What, say
big.
hi to people?
Just yes, because some people just don't. They just tunnel vision. But like actually being
Me.
present and saying hi to
Mm-hmm.
someone might
Mm-hmm.
change your life.
Yes. I had my nieces with me once, and I was like, "Hello, I'm at the store." So they was like, "Why are you talking to everybody?" I was like, "No, I'm just saying hi. You just say hello to me." And they were like, "Oh, okay, okay, hi." I was like, yeah, because you never know if someone's having a bad day, and they're like, "Oh, she said hello. Oh, she seems nice," you know. Then you like, you have a little smile on your face, and like, okay. So I think the challenge would be good to get us trying new things. So everybody has to participate in the challenge, and it'll be fun. I'm already claiming that I'm going to be one of the winners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're already a winner.
Yeah.
Yes,
Already a
yes.
winner.
So anything else you ladies want
Uh,
to talk about?
I did just want to bring in a scripture base for tonight. I was reading on like First Samuel 18 through 20, and it talks about the relationship that Jonathan and David have. Which everyone can, I think we should all tap into that and read a little bit more about that. But just the gist of it, Jonathan was Saul's son, and we all know Saul was out to get David because of his jealousy. But Jonathan was one of the people that were like on his side, always advocating for him, loving him, and being a really true friend to him. So that kind of, in a biblical sense, put that in perspective for like what a friend can be loyal.
Mm.
Yeah, what's the values of a good friend?
And that's trustworthy, like you said, loyal,
Understanding.
yeah, kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. First Samuel 18 through 20. Those are chapters
I'm
to
gonna be
be
reading
read.
Mm.
that. Sweet.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
All right. Well, do you guys have any final tidbits before we close for tonight?
Just remember to set those boundaries. Set those boundaries so you can be proactive and not reactive when faced with a challenge and with a friend or family member. So yeah. Yeah.
I think mine is to challenge yourself and the people in your circle to try something new.
Mhm.
Besides, and I like that, Jakara. Mm-hmm. Huh?
What I say?
You said to try something other than just going to a restaurant and eating.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Clear. Be creative.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Be creative. Oh, be intentional about the time that you
Mm,
spend with people.
yes. Yeah.
Uh, being present. I'm gonna try that. Be present.
I like
I like that too.
it.
Well, all right. Thank you all again for joining us tonight on our discussion on social wellness. Again, we are Worship and Wellness, where we combine biblical principles with practical steps. We hope that you join in on our challenge. Don't forget.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see you after church on Sunday.
Yeah, see ya.